Hi and welcome to our podcast coming from Mabel State High School. My name is Arita and I'm representing the Math Science Academy.
I'm Nikki and I'm representing the Girls Excelling in Maths and Science program.
And during this podcast, we'll be talking about what potential challenges that us teenagers have to face in the coming future.
And how STEM careers can possibly help resolve those issues.
But before we start this discussion, we decided to question a few of our classmates
On what they believe the future will be like in 20 years.
Okay, well, what do you think the future will look like in 20 years' time?
Well, I hope that the future in 20
What
years...
I think about the future in 20 years.
The future in 20 years. I'm thinking
will be technologically advanced to help like the problems that we have today, like such as climate change and how we've been using too much coals and then to create carbon dioxide, and we'll probably result in something like solar panels and that such, or like how bottles are being thrown out into the ocean. I hope we'll create machines to pick up the bottles and clean the ocean, or stuff like cleaning the environment, coral reefs and burning forests. We can try and prevent stuff like this.
There's going to be more trees as well as buildings. They're going to be a different material. So what I would think is that the houses will be made out of 3D printed houses, as they will be made from plastics or anything that's reusable in the future. The cars is going to be run on more efficient energies, and I think they're going to reduce less deforestation and use less carbon dioxide in order to prevent global warming.
stuff is going to be more reliable and sustainable, but there has to be some cons. We'll probably be using more of the world's resources, and a lot of profits from selling stuff like coals or petrols from countries like China will really go down.
So may I ask, why do we want to prevent these things?
Well, if that doesn't happen, we'll be dead. We'll probably run out of oxygen, and because of trees are important, and if we don't have them, we'll probably be gone. Same with the ecosystem, animals and such. They're important to help trees or help the environment be more sustainable.
You may have noticed that a common theme in the answers that we received was
Climate change.
So is that a problem for just us teenagers?
Climate change will be one of the biggest future issues for not just us, but generations below us.
We're currently in grade 10 and we're going to graduate in 2 years' time. We might have to go to university, maybe get a job afterwards. How are we going to make money? But does that even matter if there's no planet to be on?
So you may ask, why is STEM important for the future?
We want to make sure that you can keep up with it, that you're in charge of it, that you can master it rather than have it master you. And what that really means is staying connected to different ways to learn about STEM.
By the time you guys are going to graduate from university, the problem is going to be actually a lot more complicated, a lot more challenging, and the problem of moving to a low carbon energy future is going to be a lot more complicated, a lot more challenging, and a lot more urgent. And therefore, we really need many of you guys to take up careers in STEM.
Well, the thing I care most about, as I was saying to the class, is I want you to get really great, interesting, well-paid jobs when you leave here. When you finish study, I want you to make sure that you've got something meaningful to do, something interesting where you can collaborate with people, and that's why STEM's so important.
So I agree that STEM is a fantastic base for people. It just gives you lots and lots of opportunities and options in the career, in the workforce. So I think it's difficult to predict where careers are going to be in the future. So I think that having a STEM background just gives you more options to be able to adapt.
So you would have just heard our local federal member of parliament, Jim Chalmers, and a STEM professional talk about why they believe STEM is so important.
And so, as well as questioning our own classmates, we decided to ask some juniors what they thought of challenges coming their way in the future.
Challenges I'd face would probably be if I were to voice my opinion, I don't think people would listen to it, honestly, just because I am young, which is quite annoying. And
they wouldn't take your opinion seriously, and if you tried to make a change in the world, they just look down upon you, and because you're so little, they think that your opinions don't matter.
Yeah.
Eating something.
the future's unknown. Already things have changed so quickly with technology and advances in technology that I never even imagined. So I guess for you in the future, you don't know what the challenges will be. I guess what will be important will be to have the necessary skills to help you solve the problems of the future.
And so, as Anna had just stated, we don't know what is to come our way in the future. Anything could change at any moment. But the question is it worth taking the risk to rely on someone else rather than doing something ourselves? And so, as of recently in our current society, on number 1 trending, we had Mr. Beast with his plan to plant 20 million trees before 2020. But is that possible?
I believe it is possible, however, maybe might not help because trees take hundreds of years to grow, and at the rate that we're going, the earth will be destroyed before they even grow.
I mean, I personally think that it won't take hundreds of years. Like, that's a bit of an exaggeration. But if you think about it, like, with so many trees, you know, if you were to have, like, let's say 3 saplings might be the equivalent to 1 full-grown tree. That could make a difference itself. And it takes off hundreds and thousands of cars off the highway. That's the equivalent.
Not only did Mr. Beast try and help, but there are also people going around making metal straws. So turtles eat plastic out of the ocean instead of jellyfish because they can't see very well, so they think it's food. This will eventually lead to the extinction of turtles. So with the use of metal straws will hopefully help take all of the plastic, or most of the plastic, out of the oceans, so that turtles won't eat it anymore.
And so this trend going around seems to be having an uproar amongst us youth. And so many teenagers have been going out of their way to stop using plastic straws and using reusable ones such as metals. And lastly, we have climate strikes going around globally, all because of Greta Thunberg. How did that all happen? How did it all start? Who knows where it came from? But we have a quote from President John Quincy Adams. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader.
That's all from our podcast from Mabel Park State High School.
I'm Marina.
And I'm Nikki.
And we thank you for listening.